So I was just as shocked as, I assume, all of you when Star Fox gets a... First of all, what world are we living in where I'm about to say this sentence to you over the World Wide Web? Star Fox got a Star Fox Direct. I'm just as shocked as all of you. So when I sat my ass down in that chair for Nintendo... Nintendo basically shadow dropped a Nintendo Direct. How do you even do that? I'm shocked. I'm impressed and I'm shocked, right? And of course, Shigeru Miyamoto made sure to play at least 3 minutes uninterrupted footage of the Super Mario Galaxy movie so that my Resident Evil live stream would be immediately copyright blocked and removed just in general, which was a very funny thing to... Hey, you got me. Kudos. But aside from that, the Star Fox Direct actually had a point, which was that they were announcing a new Let's just finish the sentence first and not get ahead of ourselves. A new Star Fox game. Now, I want to level with you folks. I have not played a Star Fox game, and I have not played any of them. Right? So when hopefully I have the whole white guy with video game energy to me. I'm literally wearing a fucking Sonic shirt. My Espeon plush has a Mario hat on its ass in the background. Whatever. But no, don't let me fool you. I just never got around to playing any of the games. Star Fox 64 3D is on the 3DS, and I don't have a 3DS anymore. I didn't get it when I was a kid. Star Fox Adventures and Assault are GameCube games, so even when I was trying to build out my library of Star Fox games, or just try one in general, I wasn't going to start with the weird ones. No offense to them. I want to play them. But, when it came to it, it was either a SNES game or a fucking Nintendo 64 game. And I don't really swing that way. So I just never really got around to the Star Fox franchise. And, well, the interesting thing about that is this game would be for me. Because it's just Star Fox again. To really spell this out for us as a gaming community. The amount of Star Fox games that exist is like 4. Star Fox Adventures, Star Fox Assault. I lied, there's like 3, because, Star Fox 2, that's Star Fox 2. That did, in fact, come out exclusively on the mini SNES, and then I think they dropped it on NSO. But for the more important part of the discussion here, we are getting a reimagining of Star Fox, the SNES game, even though Star Fox 64 was a reimagining of the SNES game. Star Fox 64 3D was a 3D remake of Star Fox 64, which was a reimagining of Star Fox. And now we're getting to a point where you would think I would be more aggressive on my stance here, right? You think I would say something like, this Star Fox game is too redundant. They should be making new Star Fox games, and, we're always stuck with the same Star Fox games. First of all, I can't really say that because I haven't played any of the Star Fox games, dudes. But at the same time, why even call it trust me, I get why we're calling it a remake or a reimagining. Whatever the fucking word is that starts with R that they use. Yoshiaki Koizumi used to fucking describe this homunculus of a game franchise we have right now. But that's what we're getting. We're getting the same kind of Star Fox beats again. And my take on this is, and this really is the funny part. This just goes to show you how much of a journalist I really am when it comes to video games. The price is speaking before the game. Now, if I recall correctly, This game is $49.99. This game is $50. And I hesitate to what I'm about to say, but I can't help but feel like they actually got us, right? Because what I'm about to tell you, the discerning viewer that's chosen to watch the John Shares _ live rant, it's a good deal. And I honestly, I struggle to say the words in my head, because $50 is a budget title. It's not 40, it's not 30, it's not 20, that's for sure. But it isn't even 70, it isn't even 80, and it also isn't 60. And for what I want to deem, and you know it's probably going to be the title of this video, the Star Fox Ship of Theseus. How many things can we change about Star Fox, the game, before we have to admit it might as well be its own thing? Because what are the arguments here, right? Obviously, we want to see the Star Fox team do literally anything fucking else than the Lilat Wars. I get it, guys. Trust me. I'm sure if I played literally any of the Star Fox games, I would be directly in your corner. I still am in your corner. Vote for me. But, you know, at the same time, if you played Star Fox on the SNES, and you're about to play this version of Star Fox, how much is really gonna be the same? That's gotta be a completely different experience at this point. And this is coming from Mr. Sloptendo. This is coming from the guy... This is coming from the guy who is constantly demanding more. I made an hour-and-a-half something fucking long video complaining about the Mario alarm clock. The Nintendo alarm clock. And if you think I can't complain about Star Fox for you, you got me wrong, son. Vote for me, again. But... you know, I'm always thinking of why we should be asking more from Nintendo. Just on a fundamental consumer basis, we should always be getting more. But this is pretty different. If you played Star Fox 64, this is still a vastly different experience. Enough that I would say, if you're a fan of Star Fox 64 to death, you are the diehard Star Fox guy, you're still buying this game. Because, bare minimum, dude, it's fucking different. You would not be able to, as a Star Fox fan, rest on your laurels and not play this game knowing there's new shit in it. And aside from the fact that there's new shit in it, there's definitely stuff in here that's not going to feel like it did when you played it in the fucking 90s, alright? And, you know, hey, I was born in 2003. I had all the chance in the world to get into Star Fox. I could have bought Star Fox Zero, and I could have bought Star Fox 3D, Star Fox 64 3D. I didn't. I just didn't, because I was a stupid 9-year-old. I dare you to say it to my face. I'll agree with you. But yeah, but again, here's the situation we're stuck in. It's the Star Fox, that's what I'm calling it, the Star Fox Ship of Theseus. How many things can they take away from the original Star Fox game before we just have to admit, whatever this is not Star Fox. It's a new, and not like a new series or new franchise, but it might as well be a new game. You know, and I think that's a good place to kind of, like, leave it. It's, of all the things they've managed to change, I would say, for once in their goddamn lives, in the year of our Lord 2026, Nintendo has put out a decently priced remake of a game with enough substantial differences to the original material that I would call it a premier experience. Keep in mind, and we have to put this shit on the same playing field. You guys, we have to put Star Fox, the game coming out in whenever, June or whatever, we have to put this game on the same pedestal or in the same group as Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon for the Nintendo Switch. That's the same category of game. Luigi's Mansion's more expensive. And it came out on the Switch. And now maybe we can see why I'm struggling here to be positive. I'm so accustomed to kind of flinching every time Nintendo is in a headline. But no, this is probably the best we're going to get for a while. This is pretty good news. And, I personally really like shitting on them, and I really like making fun of them. And I also love going on Twitter and making fun of, guys, they remade Star Fox again. But, to tie this video up in a neat bow, I will say something that obviously I neglected to bring up at any point in this video. Kind of the elephant in the room, but there's no elephant in Star Fox. To my knowledge, I haven't played them, so I'm just going to call it the Andross in the room. The Andross in the room is that Nintendo decided to go for a very gritty, realistic approach to the iconography of the series, I'll call it to be polite. That was stupid. Like we can level with each other for a second. That was stupid. I'm going to make some kind of devil's advocate argument right now to be like why that's not stupid, but just know in my heart of hearts, no, I think it's stupid and they could have made it stylized in some way, right? And I guess the argument I want to make is when you really think about it, Nintendo's not really doing anything with the Switch 2 hardware in a sense, right? I think about the only Switch games that are out right now that I can list off my head at least: Donkey Kong, Mario Kart, Pokopia, Mario Tennis. Obviously we expect this from Nintendo, but these are all very really cartoony games. Yeah, where it's fucking Mario, Donkey Kong, and Pokemon, for God's sake. So. And it really does pain me to say this, in a sense, this is the visual diversity we kind of should be seeing from Nintendo. It's nice to have all these cartoony mascots and whatever. And I do think it was a missed opportunity that it had to be Star Fox we decided to make really cartoony. Obviously, I didn't hope they would do it to Donkey Kong. I'm very glad they didn't. But we could have done something new. We could have done something original and not something that we can very easily compare to even just things like Super Smash Brothers or, I don't know, a feature-length movie that just came out with literally two different, very stylized versions of I almost called them Star Fox, with two very different versions of Fox McCloud in very different styles. We had them in anime, bright neon, 80s, 90s, whatever you want to fucking call it, anime style, and then also the Illumination style, which, Illumination's Illumination, but we could have gone for that, but we went for highly realistic, Doofenshmirtz postured animals here. More power to you, because technically that is visual diversity. That is, there's no other Switch games that look like that. Would I have preferred they do it with maybe F-Zero? Yes. But, and it pains me to say this, F-Zero should not come out on the Switch 2. Wait. F-Zero should not come out on the Switch 2 for at least, 2 years. And trust me, I want to see a new F-Zero. Also haven't played a single F-Zero game in my life, but I'm not an idiot. I know that IP makes a console. And, me saying I don't want an F-Zero game isn't me saying I don't like Captain Falcon or... God forbid, not even that I didn't play the Subspace Emissary. But, there are two racing games on the Switch that fill a very specific niche. And I think we're a little racing gamed out for the rest of the console generation at this point. Like, come back in like 2 years minimum to give us a new racing game. Because the Switch, again, this is to my knowledge. I don't know Switch 2. They recently increased the price of the Switch 2, which not going to get into here. Let's just say I don't own a Switch 2 yet, and I apparently won't be doing that anytime soon now. My fault for being a smart consumer and waiting for a product to be worth its money to me, because now it's more money. Everything is gambling, folks. The Switch doesn't have a flagship RPG yet. It doesn't have a Mario yet. And so let's build out a little bit more before we get an F-Zero. Or I guess in this case, they're answering that question kind of with Star Fox. Star Fox isn't a racing game. I'm not trying to compare them that way. But instead what I'm trying to say is the more different things on the console, good. Clearly this is just what they would have done with the Wii U if the Wii U was not ass from launch. I don't even believe what I said necessarily. But so that's kind of my opinion on the Star Fox Direct. Are you going to buy it? Does the price give you any does the price kind of hold you back from criticizing it as much as I kind of maybe would in any other circumstance? What do you think of the character's opinion, or what do you think of the character's appearance? I know I said my piece, and maybe we should get more visual diversity in Nintendo's rack of IP, but at the same time they didn't have to do it with Star Fox. So please let me know what you think in the comments below. Watch my podcast, The John Hotline, over on my main channel, The John Chairs. Did I get you? Is this your first time seeing my kind of videos? This is actually my second channel where I live stream every day, give or take. And you can also find me on Twitch at The John Chairs as well. Thank you for watching. See ya. Do a barrel roll.